Hey, welcome everybody. So happy to be with you again today. This, of course, is Paul Fletcher, and this is my podcast, The Healing Source. It's amazing how fast it has gone. Right now, I'm probably in week 13 or 14 of series. This is series number 2 now, and I actually have to say I'm very surprised at how many episodes have already gone by. This is actually the last in this series. This series is on emotions. The first series, in case you missed it, was on the physical body. And the entirety of my program called The Healing Source is designed to empower you with understanding the nature, power, and significance of Tao healing. Today's episode is Tao healing for balancing emotions, and it is the final episode in this series. Starting next week, I will either choose Tao healing for relationships, or I may choose Tao healing for uh, the the mental body. Tao healing is source healing. It was originally brought to us by a beautiful soul named Dr. and Master Zhigang Sha. And in bringing this form of healing to humanity, he wanted to not only give us the fish, meaning do the healing himself, he wanted to empower us to self-heal. In humanity, there are literally uh, so many problems, and the vast majority of those are because of the inability to communicate with love, with compassion, with peaceful intentions, and a harmonious approach. Many people from our local family, parents, spouses, children, to our schoolmates and or our coworkers, and then into our personal life relationships where we have intimacy, friendships, and more. These kinds of relationships, and then we go a little bit wider into the community and into politics, into the functioning of a nation, and then country to country communications. All of these are either positively or negatively impacted by emotions. Tao healing and the wisdom associated with it shares that the reason a person responds or reacts in a manner that is other than love, peaceful, harmonious, full of compassion, is because on their vibration, on their soul, they are carrying this imbalanced frequency, an imbalanced frequency of a specific or several emotions. So if you look at your life, you might discover that you really don't have grief and sadness, but you could have great anger. You might realize that you have great worry, that you just worry all the time. But anger is not an issue for you. So most of us have one, maybe two predominant emotions that tend to pervade our life. I was listening to Master Shah speak about some statistics, and it sounded like he researched them when he was sharing that about 25% of America has depression. Do you know how massive that number is? That means 1 out of every 4 people have depression. What does that say for our future and our children? Why? Why? Why is that emotion? Why is any emotion in our vibration? Again, the Tao wisdom shares that the reason we have any suffering in our life, now emotions are not suffering, love is not suffering, right? Peacefulness is not suffering, so emotions inherently are not suffering. They can be positive or they can be unpleasant. But the reason we have any unpleasant experiences in our life, whether it's an emotion or it's your financial issues or a relationship, is because of the negative information that's on our field, on our frequency, on our soul. And how did it get there? This is the $1.98 question. Well, I know it's there. I just want to get rid of it. How did it get there? Right? That's what a lot of people ask. It got there through your own thoughts, words, and actions. Very simply put. Have you ever had a negative thought about anybody? You'd have to be the biggest saint on the planet if you haven't. Have you ever spoken a negative word to anybody? Have you ever offered an unpleasant action and you knew that it wasn't the right thing to do? And you've done that in other lifetimes as well. Every time you have a negative thought, every time you speak a negative word, that creates a quantum entanglement between you and that other person. Just that negative thought. Oh my God, I can't believe they're wearing that goddess dress. It's just so ugly. Right? It was in your head. But unbeknownst to you, you are one with everyone. Whether you like it or not, this is a truth. And because you are one with that person you had that unpleasant thought about, you have now created an entanglement between you. Might not have been any entanglement at all. They could have just been a stranger walking down the street. But by having that negative thought, you created this entanglement. Now, what if you have a positive thought? You create a positive entanglement with that soul. So it works both directions. But when we have a negative thought, it impacts two souls. Possibly more if you have negative thoughts about groups. When you speak a negative word, did it impact one person or a group? When you do a negative action, did it impact one person or a group? So in this way, we are creating negative vibrations in our frequency. In the opposite, we are creating positive vibrations in our frequency if we focus on positive thoughts, positive words, and positive actions. So it's important to counterbalance this understanding. It's not all negative. We're in this process of healing. This is called Tao healing for our unbalanced emotions. So I am going to use that word negative more often, but I want you to know the solution is the opposite. You bring more positive thoughts into your environment. You speak more positive words. You do more positive things. And that will have the effect of balancing the imbalance, because the more positivity you put into your frequency, it will be like an eraser, washing away the negativity. So it's relatively easy when you stop and think about it. Now, Dr. and Master Sha gave us this foundation wisdom that whenever we have a suffering, in this example, unbalanced emotions, it is because it is already in your frequency and vibration. And for those of you, for example, with anger, it just flies out of your mouth sometimes, right? You ever notice that? Happens to me occasionally. Or worry, just worry about everything. Or depression, you can't seem to shake it, right? That's because it's in your vibration. So then, how do we transform it? Tao healing teaches us there's many ways we can transform it. One of the simplest ways, which I taught in this podcast series, in the emotion series, it was podcast 3 and 4. I spent a lot of time on forgiveness and the forgiveness practice. So go back and watch those, because I go into great detail on forgiveness. Forgiveness is asking forgiveness, it's offering forgiveness, and it is forgiving ourselves for our emotions. So by doing that, we're releasing this vibration from our field. That's one way we can make that emotion less involved. And the simple version, without going into full explanation all over again, is if you had depression, you ask forgiveness for having you or your ancestors having created that kind of unpleasant emotion upon anyone in any point in time. You might have caused them to lose a job, they have depression. You might have said, I don't love you, you're ugly. That caused them to have depression. Whatever it was, you ask forgiveness. You don't have to know what it is that was done. You simply recognize that it's in your field because you have brought that harm upon others. Now, I have 2 guests with me today. And I might have a third guest if she's able to come in. And what I've been able to do with this series is help to teach you how to heal. One of the aspects of healing is using some of the authorities for healing that Dr. Master Sha has brought to humanity. As a certified Master Teacher, I've received many different healing authorities. I have used several of those for some of the guests. One of them had conditions of anger, kind of comes and goes. Another one had great fear. It will come and go. And they'll share with you a snippet of their experience. And then I gave them both a healing. And I'm going to check in with them to see how things might have stabilized. The thing about an emotion is it's not going to be instantly gone. You can't just be instantly gone of anger, especially if you've had it your whole life. Same thing with fear, anything like that. But you can take a big chunk of that stuff out of your frequency and vibration, big bowling ball size of negative information, and remove it. And that can make it quite a bit easier to process through life. So I'm not expecting a miracle response from either of them. We have to be realistic that it's a process to remove this negative information from our vibration. But at the same time, we want to make sure we have positive results. So I'm going to bring in Ilona first. She was from about 2 sessions ago. And let me invite in Ilona. Let's see. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. Welcome, Ilona. Great to see you here. And let me unmute you. Go ahead, share again.
Hi, hello everybody. Thanks for inviting me back.
Great to see you here.
I probably, yes. I must admit that was amazing. It's almost a miracle, almost a miracle.
You're talking about the blessing you received when
Yes,
when
yes,
you were on the show?
yes.
Okay. So
It
tell us
was
about your experience.
extremely powerful. I haven't experienced something like that. I've been dealing with the fear already, like I know Tao teachings, Tao science for nearly 10 years. So of course I've been getting help there and there. But what this last blessing did is was really like removed quite maybe 95% chunk. So I didn't feel all these 2 weeks, I didn't feel fear. Wherever I had a fear, especially in sector of public speaking and showing up, so the fear got different flavor to it. So instead of fearful, I was more doubtful and I don't know. So I don't know is better. Like I haven't spoken for maybe 40 years. Of course, I cannot become public speaker or show up in front of cameras and social media all of a sudden. But instead of fearing, now I doubt and I don't know. But if I don't know, I can figure it out. I can learn it. So maybe I can do it. It's totally game changer for me. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I know when I chatted with you prior to the show starting, you definitely were having a lot going on for you. So it sounds like a significant shift. Going from fear to doubt is a big difference. Fear is very, very uncomfortable. It's a high level of apprehension. And it can be debilitating in many ways where we can't move forward. And so it sounds like you're moving forward, but you're having a little doubt about that success. That's a big difference. Fear is just I can't move forward. Fabulous, wonderful. Now we gave you a crown chakra blessing. Is that right?
Yes, Guanyin crown chakra blessing.
Okay, a Kuan Yin. Was that a level 1 or a level 2 crown chakra blessing? Do you remember?
It might be level 2 actually, because I did feel 2 days like I have slight hangover.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was a level 2. It was a very big, big blessing.
Yes.
For those in the listening audience, there's different levels of Tao healing that can be offered. So um, I always check guidance, and guidance was to give her the big guns, give her the big blessings.
That was
So your
great.
role now is to make sure other people know about Tao healing and go out and help them, especially if they have fear.
Yes.
Wonderful. So
Thank
thank
you
you
so
for
much.
coming and letting us know the update, Alona. I'm going to check in now with Noelia and see how things are going there. We'll keep in touch, and I'll talk to you probably a little bit later tomorrow or the day after. Okay, thank you for coming in and
Thank
giving us this
you.
update. Bye-bye. So now we're going to invite in another beautiful soul that was here just last week. And Noelia at that time shared that these bouts of anger will just kind of come up out of nowhere, and that she's had it since she was a child. A lot of it, actually, if I remember the words, was it's a form of an indignance. It's like, I can't believe that they're doing that when this is the right thing to do, right? And she would just get so angry. And so we're going to invite Noelia back in and unmute her here. And I am not allowed to unmute you, so you'll have to unmute yourself. There you go. Welcome, Noelia.
Thank you, Paul.
So happy to see you here. So last week you came on the show and we had a wonderful time, chatted a bit about anger, and you shared some of these things. What else would you share and tell us about your healing since then?
My emotions have been more balanced. I have been less angry. I think the situation that I was experiencing at that moment that was bringing my unbalanced emotions has stabilized. I now have my basic needs met. So I think that they're a lot more balanced. I haven't experienced the anger or the anxiety or the whole shaboom of emotions. So the tracing and the forgiveness practice that you did, Paul, really helped. And I can just say that it's just been such a smoother week for me. And I'm so grateful because I know that this had a lot to do with my stabilizing and the conflict even between my roommates. I think I'm not as angry anymore. And they kind of stopped talking to me because I don't know. I respect everybody's decision, But so that has also helped. I think shifts are happening for the betterment of the relationships for sure.
Okay, good. Part of that is when we receive a healing, because it removes that negative information in our field, we're not like sandpaper when we're around other people, right? This can be a factor, when we have irritation on our vibration, even if we don't speak, they can feel it, right? You ever been around a person that has this, heavy emotion or heavy anger, whatever, you kind of don't want to be around them because they're going to snap, right? Even if they don't speak, you can feel it. And this is the nature of how this is. It stays on our frequency and vibration. I also remember you had some conditions around some issues with your house, and that was kind of triggering some of the anger, and that was also resolved shortly thereafter, right?
Yes. And finally they came and things just moved along after that, and still in the process, but at least I have water. So
Good.
that's created, like, taken off a layer of my emotions for sure.
Yeah, this is important, and this is the nature of how our emotions can impact us. Mm-hmm. So I want to say thank you to Noelia for coming back in and sharing your experience since you received the blessing. You received a calligraphy healing, is that correct?
Yes, I think we did a calligraphy tracing, the forgiveness practice, so thank you.
Yeah.
I know that after that I felt so much more grounded, and so was better able to cope with my unbalanced emotions. And so I'm grateful. It totally shifted, because before it was like, anything would like create that. It was a mixture. It was a little anger here, there, but it was also anxiety. When is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And then a little sadness. It was like the whole thing. And like, I felt like that, it's so unstable. And then like after the blessing, things just started to like ground. And I felt immediately like I started to normalize. I wasn't as...
I think that's why they call it balanced emotions or unbalanced, right? We brought you back into balance. Yes. It's amazing, really, how fast that can occur with the Tao healing.
Yeah.
What was it? 5 minutes, I think, is all the blessing was, right?
And it was amazing because it totally shifted like night and day. Like things fell into place, and it just like I felt myself again.
Yay.
So thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Noelia. So I'm going to go ahead and and chat more and see if our third guest comes in. Thank you for coming in. Okay, so one of the things that's really important to understand about unbalanced emotions is they tend to dominate our life in those moments when those imbalances are showing up. They impact the way we communicate with those around us, which can create great problems if you think about it. Sometimes we don't want to react or speak in the way that we're speaking, but because we're stuck in a specific emotional imbalanced area, we then bring that into our tone, into our form of communication, whether it's written or verbal, and then that can impact the people around us. And once we've expanded that to the field around us, then they might carry some of that same emotion. If you look at worry, for example, worry, if we have children or parents, then they worry. You ever notice that? It's like when somebody yawns, the people next to you yawn. It's the same thing with some of these emotions. They can literally be taken on by the people next to us. If we're angry and we act out in anger, that other person gets angry. So we want to be very responsible for keeping our emotions balanced. One of the ways you can do that is by keeping yourself in a positive frequency environment a lot more often. So here's some simple things you can do. You can go to the website lovepeaceharmony.org and go to the resources section on their page. It's one of the tabs across the top there, and find the music of Love, Peace, and Harmony. And you can just download that. They also have the app. It's a free app, and you can play it in your field. Why do I recommend this? Because this song, this music, is very healing, very soothing, and it carries a very positive frequency and vibration. I'm here. I did a healing for Ilona over in England, and Noelia, she's probably about 20 miles away. And 5 minutes later, they're both feeling significantly better. I didn't touch them. How did that happen? It happened because power can be transmitted into books, objects, songs, and people, into calligraphies. I did a healing with Noelia through a Tao calligraphy. How is that possible? When that calligraphy was created, healing power was transmitted into it. It acts as a portal, or as a medium through which healing resides until there's interaction with that. So same thing with the song of Love, Peace, and Harmony. By downloading that song or keeping it in your vibration, you are able to be much more positive on a much more consistent basis. Another thing you can do consistently is identify your emotions. What's going on? Identify, I'm feeling depressed right now. Okay, I'm feeling anger right now. Identify it. Don't judge it. Just identify it. So, okay, if I remember what I've been taught, that means it's on my vibration. How can I help transform that? I know. I'll do a quick forgiveness practice. I'm feeling the emotion of depression. If I remember correctly, that means that I or my ancestors may have caused the same very unpleasant emotion upon others at a time I cannot remember. So obviously I'm a good person now. I would never hurt anybody now. I would not want to cause this emotion on anybody now. But nevertheless, it's in my field. How did it get there? It must have got there in this or another lifetime. Therefore, I'm going to do a forgiveness practice around causing depression upon others. And I do this from my heart, right? So, dear the source, dear my spiritual fathers and mothers, I deeply apologize. This in any lifetime, I or my ancestors have created this very unpleasant condition of depression upon others. I only have a desire to help people, to help people be happier and healthier. But I recognize this is in my frequency, and that means I could have created this condition upon others through some form of harm to them, or maybe I harmed their finances, maybe I harmed a loved one, and somebody became depressed because of that. Whatever it was, I deeply and sincerely apologize. I'm so sorry. Now, if you're depressed, very likely you have repressed anger. You had needs that you did not express properly. Maybe you tried to express them and people shoved them down and told you, I don't care about your feelings, and therefore you shoved them down and you became depressed, right? And so you need to forgive yourself. I forgive myself for holding on to emotions and not expressing them in a healthy, balanced way. I forgive myself for not finding someone that I can share these emotions with so that I can be validated for my feelings. And then what happens is that starts to heal and release that negative information on your field as well. Maybe you blame somebody else outside of you. You're the problem. That you're the reason why I'm depressed. If you didn't leave me, if you didn't leave my relationship with me, then I wouldn't be so depressed, right? So you're blaming somebody outside of you, in essence, giving them power over you, which is not a wise choice. So you need to offer them forgiveness. I forgive you for your actions. Maybe in a previous time, I did the same thing to you and you were depressed, and now you're doing the same thing to me. What I know, and this is what your consciousness has to be, I know that if I ask forgiveness, if I truly offer forgiveness, and I forgive myself, that my vibration will have less clutter in it. And if I am consistent with that, then I have made, not only brought in positive frequency and vibration, but I've excavated the negativity, and my field will help me to be lighter and healthier. In that moment, you do that 5-10 minutes later, put on love, peace, and harmony. 5-10 minutes later, you go out for a walk, you might be able to smell or see the roses, and all of a sudden have greater gratitude and appreciation, which would have been impossible 10 minutes earlier. Why would you have greater gratitude and appreciation? Because the stuff on your field is not predominant and beating down on you. So this is the nature of how we can remove it using some common sense Tao healing techniques. Now, if you need additional assistance and you're definitely going through some heavier suffering, you need to contact the Tao healer. I'm not the only one, but I am available. You can go to my website, Wellspring of Light. I'm happy to serve you there. So you can also, Paul@wellspringoflight.com. So either way, I'm here to serve you. I do have a program, a membership program that 5 days a week, we're bathing you in love, light, frequency, and vibration. Many benefits to that program. So if you want to know more, come to my website. I look forward to seeing you all next week. I will reveal a new series. It will either be for healing imbalanced mindsets, attitudes, and beliefs, or for relationships. I'll have to check guidance and decide which direction we're going to go. Until next week, I want to thank you all for coming in. We just had a new guest come in. We're going to go another 5 minutes. She's right there on the top. Okay, welcome, Helen. You made it.
I just dismissed the class, so thank you so much, Paul.
Awesome. I saw you coming in, putting your coat aside. I'm like, okay, good timing.
Yes.
So now let us pick up where we left off at. I gave you, you came in originally for, what was the emotion, imbalanced emotion?
Sadness and grief.
Sadness and grief. And this was about 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Okay. So fill us in how things been going since then.
I have to say my cough has improved a lot. It's really gone down. I've done a lot of forgiveness practice with it as well. So that's helped a lot. When I do forgiveness practice, there's more tears coming out and I feel more healing taking place. I'm able to sleep better now. So I'm very, very grateful. There has been huge transformation for sure.
Wow. That's huge. And for our listening audience that's not familiar, the imbalanced emotion of grief and sadness can also affect our body parts. And this is traditional Chinese medicine. And at that time when we interviewed Helen, grief and sadness is part of the metal element associated with the lungs. And as she was sharing, she had a lot of lung congestion. So that's feeling much better now.
Yes, so much better. So much better. I've also been very careful with what I'm eating. So I notice I'm taking better care of myself. Like there's more self-love. So there's been like a lot of transformation taking place. So I'm very
That's huge. Yay. What healing did we give you, Helen? Do you remember?
You gave me a crown chakra blessing, level 2.
Wow. So both of you got a level 2. You're both so lucky. I gave one to Alona earlier. She was on sharing.
Oh,
wow.
Nice. I'll have to watch the recordings this week. It's been very busy teaching this week. So
I'm sure the kids are happy to have your voice back and your full energy back.
Yeah, they're very happy. And, we also sing Love, Peace, Harmony together. And,
Excellent.
we sing Love, Peace, Harmony for each other. and for for our family members, for our friends, for anyone in the class that's not feeling well. So it makes a huge difference.
Wow. And that's gonna impact the kids for life. They will use that for life. That's so powerful.
And the
I'm
good thing
so
is they
happy.
do it to their parents too. And then
Uh-huh.
some of the parents, they actually like, wow, I really like it. Let's play it. And sometimes they play it every morning. Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
I wish I had the images of you from before 2 weeks ago till now. It's just a total different energy,
Yes. Yes. Big
complete
difference.
energy shift.
Yes.
Good. Well, I appreciate you rushing and coming in to say hi and giving us this update. We've had 3 positive feedbacks from the 3 healings that were done. And as I was explaining to everybody, next week we're either going to start healing for the imbalanced emotion of mindsets, attitudes, and beliefs, or for relationships. So I haven't decided yet, but thank you for coming, and make sure that you tell your friends about the healing source. And thank you, Helen, for coming in. I'm going to go ahead and do a wrap. Thank you for coming.
Bye, everyone.
So thank you, everyone, for hanging in there. We're great to have that last-minute testimonial coming in. Again, you can receive individual healing yourself. You can contact me, paul@wellspringoflight.com, or simply go to wellspringoflight.com, and you'll see how you can receive this healing for yourself. So I want to thank all the guests that have come with me live as well, Facebook, YouTube, and more. And thank you for your sharing. We'll see you all next week. Have an awesome day, everybody. Bye-bye.